have they considered charging us nominal fee? And then I have another question about how do you accommodate people who are deaf or hard of hearing on your rides?
Sure. A lot of good questions. We did over 400,000 rides last year through our over 30 providers around the area. I do not know what our actual budget is, but we do get special transportation fund dollars for the state of Oregon, and that's where we get most of our funding. We are looking at ways to diversify where we get our funding from, because this has been kind of an ongoing issue with flat funding. We are donation based, so some people do donate. We ask, it's about $1 each way, but we'll never ask anybody for fare, so that does, it goes directly back to the program that you're riding with, but it still doesn't pay for fare. And we've looked into whether we should start charging fare, but then it changes the way that we're providing transportation. So there's a lot of work that would have to be done to make that change from an organizational standpoint. And then for deaf and hard of hearing customers, if they are being travel trained, we have a sign language interpreter. We have a contract where people will come out and ride along with us on the bus. And they're there for the interview that we do before travel training and all of that. For people that are riding our door-to-door service, we have I think we still have a TT line. If not, we have a contract with a video relay program. And then in terms of riders, in terms of door-to-door riders, I would assume that they work it out with the individual what works best for them in terms of letting them know that we're there and letting them know when it's their stop. We do a lot of work with all sorts of people with all sorts of disabilities, and we have all sorts of ways that we work with different groups. We really, we want to make sure we work with people the best way that works for them. So, did I answer your questions?
Yeah, it did.
Okay. Great. Val over there.
Do you know the overall numbers for the funding for Portland's transit system? How much is paid for by the fares paid by the riders, and how much is paid otherwise through taxes or that stuff?
I do not know the numbers off the top of my head, but what I do know is that no transit system recoups their operating costs in fare. Transit is subsidized, and so the fare is a small portion. But Arnie has his hand up, so I'm going to guess that he probably knows that better than I do.
Arnie, unless you do, it's not your turn.
Every employer in the 3-county area, which is TriMet, which is Multnomah, Washington, and Clackamas County, every employer, even if you have one employee on the payroll, pays a transit district tax. That transit district tax, whether you're Nike or Intel or a Chinese laundry, pay into the transit fund. That fund provides 80% of the TriMet operating budget. 80%. That's the operating budget. Now, if you want to build a new light rail line, you go to the Department of Transportation in Washington and you get $1.86 billion to build a new Milwaukee to Portland line, 7.3 miles. Federal government, and then big grants from each of the counties and the cities that the trains go through. That's capital investment. But the operating budget is 80% paid for through payroll deduction taxes. 20% is from the fare box. So the fare box is important, but that's why they're not too concerned about collecting it and having an inspector on every train or conductors, because a lot of those people, of course, coming in from Hillsborough or Gresham or wherever, are on monthly passes that are underwritten partially or all by their employers. So when you talk about a fare inspector and the train is packed out, there's not many retail customers on there anyway that have paid fares. They're mostly these monthly ticket holders. So does that answer your question? 80% is in the payroll deduction. And then, of course, employers are wondering, why are there no buses in front of my store? That becomes a real problem when they're trying to cover 3 counties where maybe none of your employees ever took the bus, but you're paying the TriMet tax. So you hear that from an insurance guy that's got 15 employees in Lake Oswego, and he's got no buses.
Todd?
2 quick questions, and first of all, you're doing a fantastic job. It's a great system and a good presentation today. So my 2 questions are on busy highways like Beaverton-Hillsdale Highway. A lot of times it's not that safe to wait right at the exact stop, so I'll just pick a safe place, sometimes up to 20 feet away, and wave to the driver. And they usually like that system, but some drivers tell me to wait at the stop. So what's the recommended process for those stops where there's not a curb or it's kind of unsafe to wait there?
What I recommend for the not so safe stops, and even for really rainy days when you're standing in a shelter and that shelter is maybe away from the bus stop a little bit, is first make sure you're dressed appropriately for the weather. And then when you know or when you can see the bus coming up towards the stop, to just head out towards to the bus stop so that the driver makes sure to see you. Because the concern would be you don't want to wait right next to the stop because maybe there isn't a curb, maybe it's pouring down rain, maybe it's dark. But if you know that the bus is coming in 2 minutes and you know that, or you can see the bus, far enough away, then I would go over to the bus stop to make sure that you are there when the driver is approaching the stop so that they know that you would like to ride. Or otherwise they might just think that you're hanging out in a not very safe area.
And then, second question real quick. A few years ago I had to make regular trips to Salem, and I remember there was a connection that went there, and I just wondered if that connection still existed.
Yes, so you can get to Salem on public transportation. You do have to plan ahead. It does take a little bit of time. But you can go, there's a program in Wilsonville, so you can go to the Barber Transit Center and then transfer to one of the Wilsonville lines, and it goes to Salem, and then it can get you back to the Barber Transit Center as well. You can also transfer in Wilsonville, but it takes significantly longer to get from Portland to Wilsonville to Salem than it does from wherever you are in Portland to Barber and then down to Salem. So it's still doable. Yeah.
Okay, I've been using the Lyft recently quite a bit, and I noticed you have your ride connection. I do live in Milwaukee, and one of the things I must admit, I'm a spoiled car driver, and one of the things I like about driving a car is spontaneity. If I need to go to the store, I go to the store.
You go to the store. Exactly.
Is there anything, I know years ago in Southern California, my mother used to have she never learned to drive. And used to have cab discount tickets. Is there any program that's similar to that here in Oregon, in the Portland area or Milwaukee or wherever, where you can get a discounted cab ticket if you're, let's say, of a certain age or disabled or some combination thereof? If you want, in addition to the Lyft, which is good for planning the day before, but if you read that spontaneous thing that happens, is there any kind of accommodation if you're not able to get to the bus stop because of the physical issues, so you can't necessarily spontaneously take a bus?
I call that the ice cream trip because it's rare that you plan ahead that I really want chocolate ice cream at 2 o'clock tomorrow. So I do not know if, I've not heard of a discount fare for taxis or for cabs, and that's one of the biggest things that I hear from people about transportation is you decide right now that you're going to go get ice cream or that you're going to go get it later, but if you do not drive or if taking transit is not something that is feasible for you to do for whatever reason, then you do have to call by 5 o'clock the day before to plan that you spontaneously want ice cream tomorrow, or that you have to call, even further ahead of that, or you have to call someone that you know, and if they're available at 2 o'clock tomorrow when you really want a chocolate ice cream cone, then hopefully, they can take you. So that's definitely an issue. And I wish that there was an easy answer to that, but I don't know of something, and I wish that I did.
And is there any, you mentioned grocery runs, are there any right connection grocery runs in the Milwaukee area?
There might be, but I do not know off the top of my head, so I will add that to my list of things to find out. And if you come up to me later, or I'll connect with you before I leave, and I'll make sure to get your contact information.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, we have a question over here.
Last question.
Something about the back area of the Max City?
Oh, the training that they receive for like locking the wheelchairs in?
That's probably a question to ask you directly after.
Yeah, it seems.
Anybody else? Oh, you still had a question? You had a question. Okay, go
I
ahead.
did. I was gonna ask his and then answer
Ask
mine.
yours.
I live in Vancouver, and
It doesn't work unless it's.
oops, my bad. Hello. I live in Vancouver, and it's kind of like, from my limited experience with transportation, there's like a Berlin Wall on the river. Is there any options for people that work and commute in Portland a lot, but happen to live across the stream?
Live across the river. So there are a number of buses that come from Vancouver into downtown Portland, which you'll see if you're downtown. And I don't know what those lines are, and
Okay.
I don't know a ton about the C-Tran service, but I do
they're-
know that I see buses from C-Tran downtown all the time.
Oh, okay.
There are also, you can get to, I believe that C-Tran runs to the Park Rose Transit Center and to the Expo Center,
Okay.
which both have max stops. And so you can make connections to TriMet there at Hayes.
There's some express train
Yeah.
buses too.
So, and those are the ones that leave like downtown Vancouver and come right into downtown Portland.
So that.
So there are some express lines. There are
Okay.
some lines that you can ride. There used to be TriMet buses that went into downtown Vancouver, and now they just go as far as the Expo Center or Jansen Beach.
Thank you.
Tell Vancouver to stop voting down the train.
Yeah, maybe you could do that. You could talk to them about light rail.
Yeah,
and about a bridge.
I'll contact my.
Voting down the light rail. And
I'll contact my friends and
You can get out there with
political
the sign.
system.
Okay, thank
And
you very
I'll stick
much.
around and answer any questions.
Thank you.
Turn it off. Okay.
Christina Cooper. She'll be joining us in Afterthoughts.